For years, they told you the black box couldn't be breached. They lied. Today, my guest has the testimony of two government whistleblowers who didn't just see the corruption. They say they helped build the system. We aren't talking about glitches. We are talking about a specific backdoor in the code in 72 nations that flip outcomes. Ralph Pezzullo is here. He's going to show you exactly what they found inside the machine. Don't blink. There are bad guys and gals, actors around this world, that would like to decide who is going to be in charge of any individual, any given country. I think, and you can verify if I'm right or wrong in a minute, but I think this is a globalist push to have a one world order, to have one place, maybe in Davos, that controls everything. And you can't do that if you've got freedom and liberty and a constitution in a place like the United States. Am I onto something there or not?
You're absolutely on the mark. There is a criminal cartel of our enemies that has been conspiring against us and controlling our elections for 19 years.
We're standing in the way, right? We're standing in the way of one governance led by some cabal controlling all of us, right? It's the United States that's stopping them.
That's correct, and we're on the edge. It's a very dangerous situation. Mm-hmm.
You had a 4-year investigation. Where do you start on an investigation like this, where you know everybody around the world, the loudest voices and the richest pockets, are going to say, this guy's nuts, this guy's wrong, this guy should be arrested, the guy should be censored? Where do you start in an investigation like that to keep it above board and above reproach?
Okay, well, I wrote the book. It's based on the investigation by two government whistleblowers. Gary Bernson, who was one of the most highly decorated CIA officers in recent history, he's the man who put together the teams that went into Afghanistan after 9/11 and had the Taliban defeated within 3 weeks and had bin Laden trapped in Tora Bora. And the other man is a Venezuelan investigator, very well used a lot by the DEA, called Martin Rodil. And they came across this conspiracy, Joe, when they were investigating the Cartel del Soles in Venezuela. Now, the Cartel del Soles is the biggest transnational criminal organization in history. It's run by the Venezuelan military, and they're they're the biggest drug dealer in the world. And they were investigating them in the early 2000s when they were recruiting sources within the group, and these sources started to tell them that they were also involved in election fraud. Now, how this started was in 2004, Hugo Chavez, who was the elected leader of Venezuela, the military dictator, if you will, he faced a referendum from the Venezuelan people. And his Cuban patrons, he was very closely tied to Fidel Castro in Cuba. They told him that he was going to lose the referendum. And he asked them, well, what do I do? And they said, well, there's this new system of electronic voting machines, and maybe if you get some guys who are experts, they can put together software that can be used to steal the election. So they hired 3 Venezuelan computer engineers, experts from graduates of Simón Bolívar University, which is their equivalent of MIT.
Right.
These gentlemen put together a software, and they installed it. There's no such thing as voting machines at the time, but they installed it in Olivetti touchscreen banking machines, and the Venezuelans voted on these machines, and using this software, they were able to steal the referendum for Hugo Chavez in 2004. Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro were extremely pleased, and they gave these 3 gentlemen, these 3 engineers, $200 million. Whoa. And said, perfect your system, and let's try it in elections in Latin America.
Well, Ralph, I got to stop you there. So I want to make sure I understand. The people of Venezuela voted on banking machines? They weren't voting on voting machines?
In the beginning, in 2004, there were no such thing as voting machines, so they were touchscreen banking machines.
Let me ask you something I think is an obvious question. If you said, hey, Joe, who do you think might have the ability and the technology to possibly affect an election like this, I would say China. I would say Russia. I wouldn't say Cuba. Cuba's a mess. I wouldn't say Venezuela. I mean, how is it, and maybe I'm naive to how deep this goes, but how is it that Cuba, that has been a disgusting pit since 1959.
Yes.
How is it that Venezuela, that, I mean, you have a complete Marxist fascist takeover by Chavez and then by Maduro, how are they able to muster the technology? As you said, there is an MIT like the Bolivar University. I get it. I understand that. But again, maybe I'm naive to how smart these people are, but I would not think Cuba and Venezuela were in the head of this.
Well, Cuba has probably the most sophisticated intelligence service in the Western Hemisphere.
Really?
One of the most sophisticated ones in the world. They have made tremendous penetrations of our intelligence service, and working together with the Venezuelans. Now, Venezuela is a tremendously wealthy country. I don't think many people realize that. They have the highest oil reserves in the world.
Yeah.
And that their population is certainly, the elites are very well educated. The education system is, up until recently, was very high quality. And so they were able to hire these three gentlemen, these three engineers, and they put together this software, which has been perfected over the years with the help of Chinese technicians, Iranian technicians. Yeah, this is a very sophisticated operation. People don't realize, but it's been in place since 2004, and it's been perfected along the way. The first times they used it were like I said before, were in Latin America, where in the early 2000s, you saw a series of leftist leaders elected in Latin America that were surprising. They were not expected to do as well in the polls as they did. And you saw people like Evo Morales elected in Bolivia, Daniel Ortega in Colombia,
right. Yeah.
and so on and so forth. And sort of political observers of these countries just assumed that there was sort of this kind of leftist groundswell that was rising through the population. Well, what was really happening is that they were using these machines that were stealing the elections, that were tipping them in favor of these leftist candidates. They then incorporated this company, using the same software. They incorporated this company in the United States. It's called Smartmatic. It was incorporated in Boca Raton, Florida.
Right.
And they started running elections in the United States. They started getting contracts. They hid by hiding the Venezuelan origins of the company. They did all this sort of corporate shenanigans and shell game, and they were able to. The first election that they ran in the United States was the Democratic primary in 2008 in Cook County, Illinois,
right,
between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, of course, was a very well-known person at the time. She'd been the first lady. She'd been the senator from New York. So she was much favored in that primary, and they were able to for Barack Obama, thereby launching his presidential nomination in 2008. Hugo Chavez said to one of his top aides, who was his security director at the time, and we know this gentleman because he's a friend of ours now. He told him at the time, he said, "Watch me. I'm going to elect the first black president of the United States."
Wow. It is Ralph Pezzullo. Go get this book called Stolen Elections, The Takedown of Democracies Worldwide. So am I to understand you right that before 2006, the globe had not seen voting machines at all? And if that's the case, why did we accept them so openly? Because it's the shiny thing? It's new technology. It must work. Why did we trust them so quickly?
It was, you're perfectly right, Joe. It was new technology. It kind of streamlined the process. And people at the time thought that technology was involved, couldn't be hacked,
right,
and was perfectly safe. The opposite was true, actually. The system was created by these three engineers with at least 14 backdoors in it. It was basically created to steal elections. In fact, when they went to California and they applied to the state to use their machines in state elections, in 2007, the California Secretary of State appointed a group of experts, computer engineers from Berkeley, Stanford, MIT, etc.
Right.
And they came back with a report that said this software is garbage. I mean, it looks like it was actually created to steal elections.
Wow.
And so their application was rejected in California. That was during the reign of Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. A few years later, Jerry Brown, a Democrat, was elected governor of California, and they applied again and they won the contract. And up until today, Smartmatic still runs elections in Los Angeles County, which is the most important county in California and the most populous.
It's almost the most important county in the country, to be honest with you. It is. It's Ralph Pezzullo. Go to ralphpezzulloauthor.com, ralphpezzulloauthor.com, and it's Pezzullo. Get this book. It's called Stolen Elections. Let's talk about how they do it. And you and I aren't building computers. I built some computers, but I'm not a software guy. I couldn't figure it out. I'm guessing the experts that you had who did this research, they've got the actual evidence. Technologically, yes. What are they doing? Because it's not like one wins by, 100 million votes. No, one wins by a little bit over here, wins by a little bit over there, and somehow at the end of the day, Biden's got 80 million votes. Just hypothetically, I'm throwing up Biden's name out there. So how does it work specifically?
Well, this is a very sophisticated operation, Joe. There are hundreds of engineers involved when they steal these elections, and they plan it 1 year ahead of time. So if you have a presidential election coming up, they start working 1 year ahead of time. The software has migrated to different election companies. In the United States, it's primarily a company called Dominion. They control most of the key swing state districts in the United States. And so what happens is that a year ahead of time, and when they win the contracts to run elections in these districts, they take over what's known as the poll book. So they have all the voting data in their hands, and they know who's voted for what party, who's dead, who rarely votes, et cetera, et cetera. And so they start with statisticians, and from there, and they start to plan, okay, in order to tip the election, where do we go? What districts? How do we shave votes in a particular district or not? And they have various tools at their disposal. They have mail-in votes. They have the software that they can use at the end to steal as many votes as they need. And then these machines, although they're not supposed to be, they are connected to servers. And the servers are linked to the main server, which is in Serbia, that is controlled by China by their company Huawei, which we've heard of.
Yes.
They create a virtual tunnel, so there's nothing physically that you can see. It's like a cloud, and they do the steal there, and they manipulate the numbers the way they want them, and then they beam them back to the machines in the particular districts in the United States, and that's the result that is recorded, that is publicized, right? And when you look back, when you try to trace how the votes were stolen, it's impossible to trace because they disappear. The virtual tunnel, the virtual apparatus where this steal takes place, and also the other part of it is they control the audit companies as well. So this is a very, very sophisticated operation. Like I say, it started in Venezuela, but quickly the Chinese got involved. They put a lot of money into it and a lot of expertise. The machines, the voting machines themselves, the parts are made in China. They're sent to Taiwan where they're assembled so they can put made in Taiwan stickers on them.
Right.
They're shipped to the United States. And then they're loaded with software that is owned by Venezuela. They still own it. They've thoroughly disguised the corporate ownership very cleverly, but we have the source code in our possession, and we can prove all of this. We have proved it to the Justice Department, and they've been investigating it.
It's Ralph Pezzullo. Go get the book called Stolen Elections. Let me ask you a couple of questions before we continue. You've mentioned Dominion. You've mentioned Smartmatic.
Yes.
You don't seem to have a problem mentioning them. Is there any hesitation? Do you fear they're going to sue you for $800 million? No. Do you have the goods on them that, like, you would love to have discovery with them if you could? I mean, where are you on that? Because you're naming them.
That's exactly right. We would love to have discovery with them, and they would not. They would not like that at all. Yeah.
So
We, we
you have no fear saying the names of the companies.
Yes, not at all. So Gary and Martine, part of their criminal investigation, and these guys are expert, criminal investigators.
Yeah.
What they did is they went out and they recruited engineers, statisticians, and other members of the company of these companies in Venezuela, and these guys are working for us and have you know. Talked to the Justice Department and the
Yeah.
FBI, and everything has been corroborated. So, we've got the goods on them.
You've been out for a while talking about this book and this investigation. You were on with our friend Laura Logan, which was awesome. You see that she's actually interviewing one of the people that you just mentioned, Martine, I believe.
Yes.
And this is going to continue. But I'm
Yes.
guessing most people will shy away from you. I won't, because you're saying it and you can back it up. But most people will shy away from you. Have you been contacted by any lawyers from these companies? Has anybody at Network said, we're not going to touch you with a 10-foot pole, we're afraid of the lawsuit? What's the status of you getting this word out, which is word you say you can back up 100%?
It's been difficult. I have heard from the lawyers from Smartmatic. Gary and I both did about a year ago. Haven't heard anything from them since. Actually, some of the leaders of Smartmatic have already been indicted by the Department. But we have had a lot of resistance in the media.
I would expect that. Let me ask you this. Would we have had a President Hugo Chavez in Venezuela without this?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
If they didn't have the technology through the banking machines that they used first to adjust the results of an election, would Chavez have continued as the president of Venezuela? Would Maduro have been elected?
No, not at all. They've stolen. Of course, they use this primarily in Venezuela, and they've stolen every election that they've had in Venezuela since 2004.
I got to tell you about our sponsor for this one. It's Modern Rugged. They make these incredible bags, good for the boardroom, good for the backwoods. They sent me a bag. Clearly the stitching, the buckle, the thick leather, the great smell. This was made by hand. There is no doubt that's exactly what happened. Somebody sat down, a craftsman, and said, I'm going to make sure that I make this perfect, and they did. Modern rugged leather, modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. That's right. You're going to love this, and if you don't love it, they're going to take care of you. Go right now to the website, modernrugged.com. modernrugged.com. Life takes you places. Make sure your gear keeps up. Shop the full collection right now. Find yours at modernrugged.com. Now back to the interview.
And a lot of people in Venezuela who watch elections and who are opposition candidates, that they're very well aware of this. It's
I believe.
just
Go ahead.
we're kind of late to the party, and also there's been a tremendous amount of collusion in our country because these countries and these companies have a tremendous amount of money. The Venezuelans, like I said, their oil reserves are the greatest in the world, and then the Cartel del Soles, which is run by their military, generates something between $2 and $3 million a year in profit. So their resources are tremendous, and we have also found that they have paid off many officials here in the United States, and that investigation is ongoing.
It is Ralph Pezzullo. Get this book called Stolen Elections: The Takedown of Democracies Worldwide. Very, very simple question, I think. If this were happening, and if they were, and I'm not saying that it's not, the investigation, I'm sure, shows that. You did send me the book. I've not read the book yet. If this is happening, why did Trump win this time?
Well, that's a good question, Joe. Actually, we ended up blocking. Well, not me, but white hat engineers and hackers ended up shutting down the servers in Serbia in November 2024. Wow. That's the only reason President Trump was elected president, because they were trying to steal it for Kamala Harris, and we could see that.
You now have a friendly DOJ. Are you talking to them? Are these investigators talking to them? Are they going to do something? Can we get rid of these stupid machines in our election so maybe we can have a fair and free election?
We are very impatient. They have had this information for a year. Like I said, they have tested it. They have everything has been corroborated. In fact, the Interior Minister of of Chavez's regime is currently in Rikers Island, currently in New York in jail, and we have interviewed him as well, and he has corroborated everything. He said he actually had a Smartmatic monitor on his desk that would show the steal of elections in real time. So
Wow.
the DOJ, the FBI, they know all this. They've subpoenaed people. They're issuing indictments, but they're very slow. And of course, we are very frustrated. But we hear that indictments will be coming out soon.
Ralph Pezzullo, author.com. Get the book. It's called Stolen Elections. Is it your opinion, and I'm sure it's based on fact, because everything that you're saying is based on fact, because I don't think you'd be saying it if you didn't have it backed up. Is it your opinion that we're going to find out that the result of the 2020 election was questionable at best, at worst?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was, no question about it. And we can prove that. Yeah.
You got the technology to prove it.
We have the engineers. We have the engineers who helped do this, so they know how they did it from district to district. And like I said, it's a complicated situation because they don't do it the same every time. They do everything they can to hide their fingerprints.
Is it death by 1,000 cuts? Is it a little bit, a few votes over here, a few thousand over there? Nobody's really going to notice if there's a swing. Like there was a district or a county in Michigan, historically conservative county. I can't think of the name of it. It starts with an A. And in that county, they had a 7,000 vote switch to Joe Biden in 2020. And then the clerk was like, yeah, it's my fault. I made a mistake. I pressed the wrong button. Was that part of what you're talking about?
Yeah. It's they do it differently everywhere. For example, like in one district in Colorado that was a heavy Republican district, and where the cities were blue. Instead of adding votes to the cities, what they did is they went into all the red districts and they shaved off votes. A few thousand here, a few thousand there. So those districts ended up being not as strong Republican as they were expected to be.
So they were still Republican, but just not as Republican.
That's right. So it was hard to notice. You just figured like, oh, that's funny. We expected them to do a little bit better, but they didn't. And so they sort of escaped scrutiny. But like I said, there are hundreds of engineers that are involved in this. There's a center that's called the Consejo Nacional Electoral in Caracas, which is the headquarters. And so when they have an election, there are thousands, hundreds and thousands of engineers from Iran, from China, from Cuba, from Venezuela, even Russia. They're all there performing different tasks, and it's all coordinated. This is a coordinated attack. The good news is it is not. There are people. Let me say this: it's not political in terms of our politics. These are foreign enemies who are made it their business, their goal to destabilize the United States. And one of the tools that they're using is electronic voting machines.
Well, Ralph, I want to say this. I think it is political. I'm going to disagree a little bit because I think half the country is okay with it. I think half the country would have done anything to stop Donald Trump from winning in 24. I know that half the country was okay with 91 indictments against the guy that were all bogus. So as much as I agree, these are enemies, Iran and China and Venezuela and Cuba. I mean, we go down the list. I agree with you. Anybody who is a good, America-loving citizen would not like those bad guys to get any sway here. But as you said, suddenly Jerry Brown's okay with the machines that were rejected by Schwarzenegger. Why is that? Because Jerry Brown wanted to win, and because he wanted the left or this progressivism or this Marxism to take over. So I think it is political because there's one side that wants to see a sea change and a one world order in this country. The other side is fighting it, I think. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way I feel.
I don't disagree with you. The point I'm trying to make is that this is an attack on our whole country.
Yes.
Right? They manipulate. They like us to be divided.
Yes.
And they put a lot of money, Venezuela and China, behind the movements that we've seen crop up in the last 10 years, Black Lives Matter, the whole trans movement, the migrant explosion.
I agree. Yeah.
Movements that are troubling every community. A lot of it is not organic. It is funded by China and Venezuela. And like I said before, they have tremendous resources, and they're clever. They do it through all kinds of NGOs. Now, let me tell you one other thing, Joe, that's very troubling, is that when Elon Musk, when Doge started looking at the federal budget, one of the departments that they looked at was AID, right?
Yes.
Well, when they looked in AID, they found something called SEPS. SEPS stands for the Consortium for Elections and Political Politics Strengthening. Very strange name.
Yes.
Well, what SEPS turned out to be was it was giving billions of dollars in grants to organizations like Smartmatic and Dominion to promote their software to other countries around the world through our U.S. embassies. And it turns out that there are now 72 countries around the world that are also infected with this software that is designed to steal elections. So our government, our taxpayer money, was sort of used to promote this software to other countries in the world. And that's a big problem. And that's one of the reasons that USAID was dismantled.
Ralph, why do you think an entity like Fox News gives up almost $800 million to settle that suit? But why do that? Was this information not known? It's a news organization. They could go by the same facts that you have.
Okay, well, this was another very clever thing that they did, because the whistleblowers went to Fox News at that time, and they said, "Hey, we'll give you all the information that we've discovered, and we'll even share our sources with you, who are the experts who committed the fraud, committed the steal in a lot of these elections." And the Fox News lawyers said, "No, we're okay." And they ended up settling for $700 and something million.
$787 million, something like that, yeah.
Right. Where did that money come from? That's the question I ask. Where did that money come from? I don't believe it came from Fox News. And it was also a very clever way to shut down the media from looking into this at all, because everybody was scared off, right? And we're still facing that. Like, this should be a major news story.
One of the biggest. Yeah.
One of the biggest, right? And we're fighting for attention, and a lot of the mainstream media won't touch it at all, because their lawyers say you're going to get sued.
Well, we'll touch it here because you're the person who's saying this stuff, and you can back it up with the information from the investigation. And I'm glad that you got the backbone to do it. It's RalphPezzullo, Go get the book called Stolen Elections, The Takedown of Democracies Worldwide. When I saw Venezuela, that raid go on, and that we arrested the leader of the Cartel de los Soles, Maduro and his wife, I thought to myself, this is about drugs. Yeah, let's stop the drugs from coming in. Yeah, this is about getting the oil companies back what they leased and what they owned and what they made, what they built there. This is about being fair to that. This is about the people of Venezuela. They deserve free and fair elections. The last guy won by 70-30, yet Maduro said, no, I won. But I also thought to myself, because I've been in this business a long time, Ralph, this is about the 2020 election. Do you agree?
Yes.
The raid.
It is, but the troubling part is they took out Maduro and his wife, right? They arrested them, and I commend them for that. But they left the Cartel del Soles intact. In fact, Delcy Rodriguez and her brother, Jorge Rodriguez, they're two of the top people in the Cartel del Soles and in the corrupt leftist government that controls Venezuela. So they didn't really do the job. It was cosmetic, but so far they haven't. These people are still in charge. They're still dealing drugs. Yep. They haven't dismantled the election software around the world. The Trump administration has to go further than this, and the American people have to demand that.
Yeah.
A good first step, but it's only a first step.
Well, I agree with you. Delcy Rodriguez is the wrong person. She's the number two. She's the vice president behind Maduro. I'm sure she's involved in the cartel as well, obviously. Yes. But
Yes.
you can't like take out the leader and then say let's do an election tomorrow. It's my hope that they're going to say we're going to do an election. It's going to be in-person voting. It's going to be no machines whatsoever. Let's get a real leader in Venezuela. I think if you do that, the people of Venezuela will rise up and say we're not going to let this crap ever happen again. If you just say she's the boss for the next 4 years, you're right. That country is screwed, and we didn't change anything. I mean, you're not in this business, but maybe do a little predicting for me. Do you think that what I just said is going to happen? We'll have free and fair elections, and a real leader can be chosen for Venezuela. Then we can dismantle the apparatus that you're talking about?
I hope so. I don't think it's that easy, Joe. I'm sorry to say that, but I think the apparatus it's so powerful. It's a country of run by a drug cartel that is the biggest criminal organization in the world. They control. They liken themselves to the Costco of drugs. So
Wow.
they control all the networks from Bolivia and Peru, where the coca leaves are grown. They control all the labs in Colombia, and they control the cartels in Mexico, and like the Sinaloa cartel basically works for them. And they also export a lot of drugs to Europe and through the Hezbollah into the Middle East. So this is a global problem and a very powerful thing. And I think just removing two people is not going to take them down.
I hear you. I think that removing the two people, though, on a brighter side, maybe I'm more of a glass half full guy, tells the people of Venezuela we can, and we will again if we have to. Hopefully,
It definitely delivered a strong message. I agree with you. Yes.
hopefully we're on the right track there. Let me finish with this, and I really appreciate the time. I appreciate, as I said, your backbone, because this is brave. These people, if they really believe that what you're saying is incorrect and wrong and defamatory and all that, would have sued you already, and it's been a year. That's very interesting to me. We've got the midterms coming up, where if the Democrats get control of the House, they're going to impeach Trump every day. Where are these questionable machines, the machines that you're questioning, where are they now? Are they all over this country?
They
And
are all over.
can something happen? Let me just follow up with this, and I want you to go for as long as you need to. Are you worried about what's going to happen in November? Do we have time between now and then to dismantle this operation so that we actually do see fair results in November?
I'm not sure. I'm very worried about it, Joe. I think that there's a possibility. The president, has talked about issuing an executive order that bans all voting by voting machines and voting machine software in elections in the United States. I don't know if he can do that. And the plan and the hope is that he's talked about this as well, turning to paper ballots and requiring IDs for voting.
Yes.
That's the only way to defeat this system.
Well, they can do that if you had a backbone in the Senate. The Senate could literally get rid of the filibuster and do photo ID today. They could do voting ID today, but they're afraid because I think Thune is very weak. But it's interesting that you said about the executive order. Just because of my knowledge of the Constitution, he can't do that. In the Constitution, it says the state legislatures will set up how elections are done. I wonder, is there a way you can think of where he could say legally, yeah, I'm not getting in the middle of the election, other than you can't use these machines that are questionable. You think he can do that?
I think that's what they're thinking of doing. I'm sure it will be very controversial. I think what I kind of prognosticate is that before that, they release a lot of this information that we have found, and they release it to the public, and require like a Senate special committee, investigative committee to sort of go over all these findings. And then on the back of that, try to unite the country, but spell out the danger and how we have been infiltrated by these criminal cartels, and how that there's a need to change the electoral system in this country. Because I think if he just tried it now, he would get tremendous opposition.
I agree. Does this investigative information, all this evidence that was found, does that reside right now at the DOJ? Does Pam Bondi have it? Does she know?
It's all there. Yes, it's all there. The FBI has looked into everything. They have interviewed the witnesses that we put forward, and they have corroborated everything. And other members of the The criminal cartel who have defected to the United States have also corroborated all this information. It is real. It is absolutely real.
Ralph Pezzullo, get his book Stolen Elections. It's out now, The Takedown of Democracies Worldwide. Let me finish with this. There is this game that's being played right now, and the Supreme Court actually just ruled that candidates can question accepting ballots up to 2 weeks after an election. Is that involved in all of this at all? You get the result of the election on Election Day, and suddenly we'll accept your ballot for 7 or 10 days or 14 days afterwards, and the end result is the result that some hierarchy wanted somewhere else. Is the whole I'll accept your ballot for as long as we need to, is that all part of this too or not?
Yes, it is. Yeah, the whole system, it is not, it is slapdash a system. It is not carefully regulated. It is not carefully, watched. We have to do better than this. It is, the cornerstone of democracy. It is the way that, people express who they want their leaders to be and what they want them to focus on.
Yeah.
And we can't have it being run by technology that is exported from overseas and using machines that are made in China. I mean, that is not worthy of a country like the United States.
You and I agree.
Go
ahead.
All citizens have to unite behind that and demand that it be run, professionally and up to the highest standards.
Well, I think they will rally behind that if they have the information. Right now, they don't have the information. That's why we're trying to get it out there. It's Ralph Pezzullo. Go get the book, Stolen Elections, The Takedown of Democracies Worldwide. Let's leave it at that. I want to talk to you again because I have the feeling that in the next months and possibly close to a year, but right before the election, a lot of this is going to come to the surface because it has to. Trump is unafraid to say elections are